You wanted me to say.
Yeah.
So lately I've been reflecting a lot in terms of relationships on my own, like my side of the relationship. I think that it's really common, at least on the internet these days, for so many people to be like, these are behaviors my partner is doing, like, are these red flags? Or, you know, I have this issue, or this great thing about my partner. Like, it's usually about the other person.
You're right. It is all about the other person.
And what I'm starting to realize in my own personal romantic relationship is my own culpability. In whether it's problems, whether it's like when I feel negative or frustrated about my partner, is it actually him?
Ooh.
Or is it me?
Okay.
And I think a lot of people struggle to accept their own part in these situations.
Totally. Yes. So what did you, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to go into any great detail, but what did you find was your part in any sort of demise?
Sure. Well, thankfully not a demise right now.
Okay.
But I do, you know, I mean, for one thing, I think I have commitment issues because don't we all?
Okay. Are you discovering where that's stemming from inside of yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm having a really hard time. Well, and I think what that ties into is this sort of implicit expectation of perfection from my partner.
Yeah.
And of course, like, there are certain things that I want in a romantic partner. There's certain things that I find a lot of value in, and it's going to be frustrating if those things are not present in my relationship.
Sure, like the non-negotiables.
The non-negotiables, but also I think that we would all benefit from actually really thinking about how non-negotiable are the non-negotiables, and how much are we, or should we be willing to allow our partners to grow into that instead of expecting everything on our checklist right at once.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a red flag and something that isn't exactly it.
Okay. What would be an example of that, do you think?
Well, for example, something I think that I find really valuable in a relationship is somebody who is the kind of person who, if they have something that they don't like in their life, they're going to make the conscious choices to figure out how to change their life or figure out what they want instead.
Right.
And so when a partner of mine isn't exactly exhibiting that, and I see that and it frustrates me, I as much as I am valid in being frustrated with that, I think it is valuable for me to pull back and say, what are the other factors influencing why they're not acting the way that I want them to act?
Okay.
Is it because they're fundamentally not that kind of person? Or are they depressed?
Yeah.
Are they scared?
Yeah.
Are there other factors that are pushing them away from actually exhibiting those qualities? And if that is the case, maybe I should exhibit some more patience.
And just compassion. I mean,
compassion.
Would you go into a conversation with that person?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, something that I've done a lot of learning and growing in my current relationship is having those conversations and figuring out, how do I frame this in a way that doesn't make them feel bad, you know? Like, I'm not saying that I don't like you, that I don't want to be with you, or that you can't be the person I want you to be. But, like, this is a concern. This is something that I want.
Yeah.
Because something that I have really learned is a really big deal in relationships, whether it's romantic, friendships, work relationships, whatever. And I've had to do a lot of learning in this last several years, is people cannot meet expectations that they are not aware of.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, at what point, back to the self, and I think that at what point do you meet your own needs?
Sure.
And not really look for them outside of you? And at what point do you say, no, this is a need outside of me that this person needs to meet? I mean, it's something that I've been like contemplating, and I honestly, I'm not in a relationship, but I don't know. I don't know if I know the answer.
Sure.
I would have to approach that again and hopefully do it from a very conscious, aware place. But I think that there's so much. Sometimes we're not very fulfilled on the inside for whatever reason with our own struggles, our own dreams that we aren't giving energy to. And instead of allocating our energy to our dreams and our passion, our true desires, we decide to put that on to someone else and somehow expect them to make us happy. But then at the same time, I think there are indeed reasonable standards to have in the person, your partner,
Sure.
because they're your partners and you want to align.
Yeah.
And I think I just don't know where that balance is, to be honest, right now. Maybe I will in real time,
Well, I think it's a constant evolution for your own self anyway. And what that ties into for me is another harsh realization on relationships, which is nobody in your life can meet all of your needs.
Yes.
The romantic partner
Probably
cannot and
Yeah.
will not
Yeah.
meet all of your needs.
Like they're their own person.
Right.
That would be really weird if they weren't.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Right? That's just a recipe for failure.
Yeah.
And I think because it is like a sort of difficult line to tread, because I don't want anything that I'm saying to be construed as excusing or putting up with behavior that doesn't serve you, because like obviously there are behaviors in relationships that are not good to be around and you shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that like every partner who's exhibiting things necessarily is in the right place to be growing and changing and getting past that.
Yeah.
However, it's really easy to forget about the things that actually really truly matter the most.
Yeah.
And, is like right now, is my partner the kind of person who when he holds me or I hold him, I feel peace and I feel calm? Is he the kind of person that knows exactly how to soothe me when I'm anxious?
Yeah.
Yes. He is, and he does, and it's the most beautiful. Like, it's a feeling that I haven't really had. Not that I've had bad partners in the past, because I've had great partners, but I've never had that specific kind of thing. And so, wouldn't I be foolish if I got so caught up in the things that aren't perfect that I lost sight of the things that, for me, I think matter the most?
So, would you break it down as the needs, the superficial needs versus your core needs?
Kind of, because I would say that like needing a partner to be somebody that makes positive changes in their life, I wouldn't say is a very superficial.
You're right. Yeah.
That's just the kind of person I want to be around with my friends.
Yeah, someone that's always growing.
Right.
That when they notice something, instead of just festering in it, if they're unhappy, that they take action to actually.
But I have to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a period, like in my current life right now,
yeah,
I'm not super great at making all the changes I want to make. Like there are things and habits and patterns that I want to do and put into my life, but I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
Because who is?
Right. And it's baby steps.
It's baby steps, and I have to be kind to myself in that regard. And if I have to be kind to myself, I have to be kind to my partner.
Absolutely.
And
yes,
and it's been really difficult for me to make so many realizations of, oh, I really need to talk about some of this in therapy. I really need to figure myself out, because a lot of the things that I'm having issues with him oftentimes come back to me and my expectations and the error of those expectations.
Right.
And of course, it's a difficult line to tread.
It is. Yeah, because you don't want to settle either. Because sometimes people just aren't good matches.
Sure.
And you could be, better off with somebody that more aligns with who you are, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I think, something that it's so personal for everybody.
Sure.
You have to really do your own soul searching to decide, at what point are you settling, and at what point are you working with a human that's just not perfect, because you're not perfect. No one is.
That's so hard to figure out. It feels almost impossible sometimes, I think. But and I don't think I really have the answer to that, because
me neither.
No, who does? But it is a lot. You have to do a lot of soul searching, And a lot of that does have to be with your partner. You have to have those conversations. It's not just that they can't meet expectations they aren't aware of.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when you bring concerns to them, when you say, you're not really meeting this need and I would like you to.
Yeah.
I think a big indicator of if someone is right for you or if you're settling is, are they willing? Are they willing to hear you?
Have the conversation.
Are they willing to understand you? Are they willing to be vulnerable?
Yeah.
Are they willing to push for understanding?
Yeah.
You know, if like people, when they get criticism, are going to put walls up, are they willing to like actually not push back, but ask clarifying questions? Are they willing to change?
Yeah.
Like, are they actually capable of hearing what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. And do they love you enough to have that conversation? Because I feel like a lot of people, that's where everything stops, is the difficult conversation. It's like, it's not even, can you talk about it and get through it? It's that, can you even have the difficult conversation with somebody?
And it also, for me, it's a matter of trust.
Yeah.
You know, does this person trust me that, you know, their brain is going to say, oh, they want to break up with you? Do they trust me enough to tell their brain, no?
I don't.
They just want a better relationship.
They
and then
work through this.
Right.
That's why they're coming to you.
Do they trust me to say they don't hate me, they don't not want to be with me, they just want it to be better?
Right.
And that makes me want it to be
right.
Like, it's all about that trust, because especially for like a lot of people have a lot of trauma in relationships, especially if their parents, like, a lot of your relational trauma comes from your relationship with your parents. And if there's rejection from your parents, from your peers, you're going to have a much harder time taking feedback, because what your brain is going to tell you is they're rejecting you. They don't want you.
And then they shut down immediately.
Despite all the times that I've said, I want you.
Right.
You know, so there has to be a level of trust that I still want you.
Absolutely. And also something that I have to remember, because I can be a culprit of, which is the way that you present information.
Sure.
So if I go to somebody like, you don't do this for me, da 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 da, and I have a tendency to do that. I think it just sets you up for a really rocky conversation. You know, you have to, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that, you know, the way that you approach somebody was a problem? Absolutely. You know, are you viewing them still with love and compassion and still seeing that person as a whole person, but just that there's this little thing that you want to be honest and transparent about, and you need to have that conversation and see if they'll meet you somewhere in the middle?
Well, it is all about framing, because there's a difference between you did this thing that made me feel bad, or you made me feel bad.
Yeah.
And when you do this thing, I feel this.
Right.
That's actually a very significant framing, because it's taking away, not the blame, but it's definitely saying, like, it's not you that is the problem, it's this action that was the problem.
Yes.
It's less personal, and it lets that person accept that it's a choice, that it's an action, that it's not who they are as a person. It's, you know, because they might not know, there's just a level of positive disconnect when you frame it like that, because you make it about the action, not about the person.
Totally.
People love to take things personally, which is a problem.
Especially relationships, when it's already so emotionally charged, or it can easily be so.
But it's not always about you.
Right.
You know, it's not about you. The world doesn't revolve around you.
Yeah.
But sometimes we do specific actions that upset people. I have a good, really, really good friend who uses this whole metaphor of a minefield. When you walk through a minefield, you don't know where the mines are. So when you step on somebody's mine, like, you are not responsible for their reaction. You're not responsible for the hurt that they feel.
Yeah.
That person is responsible for managing that reaction.
Right.
Because the other person didn't know about the trigger. They didn't know about the mine.
It's so true. Relationships, as everyone's saying on the internet, they're such a mirror. They're such a mirror for who you are. They're constantly reflecting back to you your own triggers, your own traumas, and even where you shine. So I think it's like the perfect playground to learn more about yourself. And if you're into self-growth, relationships are fertile ground for that.
Yeah, well, because people are always, I feel like people these days are always like, well, you have to be in a certain frame of mind to be in a relationship, which I don't think is true. I don't think there is a right time to be in a relationship, because we can, you know, what you can do is you can grow in the relationship.
Absolutely, if you're willing. If both partners are willing.
And, you know, your partner should be an adult, right?
Right.
So yeah, you have to be in the right place, but also, like, if we're expecting our perfect partner to exist when we meet them, we're never going to be satisfied.
That's beautiful. I think that's where we should end.